Hey, what's up, and welcome to this episode of Rainer on Leadership, a podcast for church leadership or leadership wherever you should find yourself. My name is Josh.
My name is Sam, and I'm excited about this episode.
I am too. Yep.
I'm excited about every episode because I get to talk to my buddy Josh.
Yeah, and I get to talk to Sam. It's a good topic because for churches that are in a revitalization, I think even churches that are doing well should really think through what we're going to talk about today, and that's just maximizing facility usage. You know the old adage that you're going to get to heaven one day and God's going to be like, hey, you built that big old building and you used it like 1 hour a week. That probably is not something that he'll be pleased with. So we're going to talk through some strategies dealing with that topic.
Indeed, but before we do, I want to thank our sponsor, the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary. You've been in ministry long enough to spot both the obstacles and the opportunities facing your congregation. There has to be solutions, right? But how do you find them? Well, if you are the ministry leader called to champion these issues, Southern Seminary has a problem-solving degree that will guide you to the answers. From the moment you begin your Doctor of Ministry program at Southern, you will research the issues and start writing about biblical solutions that will immediately benefit your church. So this academic sharpening that comes through your faculty supervisor and doctoral cohorts will strengthen both you and your church. So if you are interested, and I know you are, go to SBDT. ABCD
SBTS.
Man, I was doing good on the copy. By the way, this is like new copy. So it happens from time to time with sponsors. We kind of change things up a little bit, which, keep your attention, got my attention. SB, as in boy, TS.edu/solutions. So Southern Baptist Theological Seminary, SBTS.edu/solutions. They've got a DMin program that is for you. There's a link in the show notes as well, so you can just click on that. Thanks to Southern Seminary.
Yeah, that sounds good. We need some problem solvers in the world today. Got a lot of problems. A lot of people like pointing at them and talking about them, but not a lot of people like doing anything about it. So
sometimes I'm the problem, Josh, and I need
that I can understand that. But here's a problem that I want to bring up with you and talk through is this idea of using the church facilities in partnership with other nonprofits or ministries or missions partners. There's a number of organizations out there that are needing space, and I think if churches can creatively think about the space that they have, then a lot of solutions can be reached and a lot of good can be done.
So let me ask you a question. Let's have a little competition here. How many organizations, separate organizations, are utilizing your church campus on a regular basis? Not just like a one-time event, but like an ongoing basis.
I would only say one, dos, tres. Probably tres. I just started operating these, and not if you count the fire department that is also housed here. So 3 plus a fire department.
Okay. We're at 5, at least 5 that I could think in my brain. One of them is the fire department, which does their classes here. And these are not our own ministries. These are separate ministries. So we have a preschool partnership with a preschool. That's not ours. It's the local Christian school down the road. One More Child Offices, which is a nonprofit organization for families, adoption, fostering, child hunger, things like that. Foster the Family Offices, which are very similar to One More Child, but different organization. We have a high school homeschool co-op as well. I think that's 4 or 5.
We have they're not exactly a homeschool co-op. It's something different. It's an academy. It's here for 2 days every week. We have a separate church plant that meets here on our campus. We also have a ministry for those who got a family member that's with dementia or Alzheimer's. So that meets here. And then we do have a very large arts conservatory that meets here on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday nights. It changes throughout the year. It's huge. Several hundred students are a part of that. That one's technically sort of under our larger umbrella, but we don't, it's self-sufficient, runs on its own. And then we have a preschool, but that is our preschool. So we have similar, and then, like I said, there's a whole fire department, a couple of engines, like dormitories and all that. That's on the corner of our property. It's on our property, and we partner with them, but it's not like the engine is parked up under the awning or anything like that. So
I would make it a requirement that I get to ride around in the fire truck if they're going to use our property. I'd say I want to come on a ride at some point.
Oh, they're doing very good work over there. So the point is, and this is one of the things that I approached when I got here. For instance, the homeschool group or the academy group, as well as the church, were not meeting here when I took the pastorate about 15 months ago. They were things that we searched out, and we are still searching out other partnerships. We want to fill this space constantly, every day, all day long. We want it to be in different groups. Now, there's a number of factors for that. For one, ours was just we are what some people have called building rich and cash poor. So we want to partner with people, but the best way that we can partner is through our facilities. We are a church that runs about 750, and we have 176,000 square feet, which is very, very, it's large. It's a lot. Like, Sam, give us your attendance square footage thing on your main campus there.
Yeah, so 762,000 square feet.
Yeah.
And on almost no parking on 4.5 acres total.
Yeah, so we have plenty of parking. We're on 20 acres, and we have 176,000 square feet. So one of the things that I was trying to do is just fill the space. And the more people you get into the campus, largely that's going to help you. But there are a number of things that you want to think through when you're doing this. Don't go just running out there, getting partners and bringing people in and that sort of stuff. I've seen people do that, and it's costly, not only financially, but also relationally. So here's a couple of things. The first one is just the idea behind it. It's part of being a good neighbor is hospitality. So when you're being a good neighbor in your community, hosting people is a good thing. So this isn't necessarily partnerships, but
like
Sam, what are
neighbor? Josh King is there.
That's right. I'm a very good neighbor. I'll bring your trash can up for you. What is the what are some things? Maybe not partnerships. Maybe they do rent or not. But what are some community things that y'all's church is used for?
Oh goodness, it's countless. The schools use us all the time for any number of things. I mean, recitals, presentations, events. They'll use our fellowship hall for like gatherings. They'll use our worship space for events. I would say twice a month, some outside group is utilizing our campus in some way. So it's a pretty significant amount of time, but it's part of our philosophy, and I've staffed our church with that in mind, meaning we have 3 support staff. They know that part of their job is just to make sure that when we host something that everything is where it needs to be. So we value hospitality. I can't say that we get A's in every category of hospitality. We don't, but it is something that we strive for and something that we do attempt to do. Even if we don't do it as well as we could in certain areas. But I do feel like opening our doors, A+ there. Like West Bradenton has always been the kind of church that said, come on in, what do you need? Now, and we'll get to this here in a second, we only do this for other nonprofits. We don't do this for businesses. And we'll talk about why that is in a bit. But we do charge fees to cover cleaning and things like that, but we don't do like lease arrangements. We have memorandums of understanding, MoUs, with our ongoing partners that have offices on our campus, but we do not charge them rent. And we'll talk about why we don't do that in a moment, too.
Yeah. We have I've got a lot to say about the MoUs and leases, but so a couple things we do is, I think it's 5th graders. We have this huge, as you can imagine, a Dallas suburb. We have a massive school district, and the 5th graders come every year for a day at the symphony, and the Lake Dallas Symphony will play on our stage for these fifth graders, and it's sort of like a way to introduce them to the arts. But the fifth graders from all over the district come, several different schools. And then two of the local high schools, we have massive high schools, two of them will have what they call cluster concerts. And there are a couple nights in the spring, and all of their bands and fine arts play a concert at one point, at one night, at our church. So that way the parents and stuff, they can all come to one giant concert instead of going to like 5 or 6. So that's huge because it packs our campus. We have somewhere around 1,700 seats, and 2 nights that week, 2 different high schools pack out our campus. Every single seat is taken, and then that's not even talking about the when the fifth graders come and they have multiple shows from that the concert thing they go to. They pack out the sanctuary as well. So this is a really cool event. It doesn't cost us anything, and it doesn't cost the school district anything. We're just partnering with them and getting them on our campus. So I like doing that.
Yeah. What this helps with in terms of opening your doors is just reputation and opportunities. Let me put it that way. So, of course, when you open your facility and, you're like, hey, we charge a cleaning fee, or if you want to use our technology, kind of a tech fee, we have our own people that work the board, so we pay them to be there for that event and things like that. We just don't want people messing up our stuff. But, it has helped our church reputation tremendously. Let me put it that way, where, hey, we're in a bind, we need some space, call West Bradenton. Like, we're kind of first on the list of who can you call if you need some help with putting on a local event. Well, and I love that. I love that for a lot of people in our community and in our neighborhood, we're first. That's where I want to be. But then I go to these events a lot of times, and then I just hang out. And I'm at the door greeting. Guess what? Guess what I'm saying? Hey, I'm Sam. Welcome. Glad you're here for whatever event. I'm the lead pastor of this church. And people, oh, okay, it's good to meet you. Hey, thanks for being here. Then I get into conversations. Then I get to invite people to church. And I can tell them, we meet right here at this time, and you know how to get here now. So it's an awesome opportunity to just interact with the neighborhood. And I don't make any apologies for showing up at an event and telling people that I'm the lead pastor and inviting them to church. I just don't. If you don't like that, you don't have to use our space. But it's a great way to help your church's reputation, to build that over time, and to get opportunities, gospel opportunities.
Yeah, in fact, those cluster concerts that I was talking about, couple thousand people each night, they actually let me record a welcome video when we produce it, and I don't invite them to church. They asked that I not invite them to church, but I do say who I am and what we do, and we're glad that you're here and why we're doing it. We love having you here on our campus. We want to be servants to the community, and so thank you so much for being here. And then I'll end it with go Marauders, or go the school mascot. Fighting farmers. So there's a number of ways to kind of reach out. Also, we'd have publicity, banners, posters throughout our campus that advertise events, things that are happening. And so there's a number of ways that you can use these things as both service, but then also inviting folks to your campus as well. But some of the things that we need to consider when we are talking about these partnerships are important. Money and theology are some very important things. The first one is doctrinal alignment. Now, Sam, the way that we do this is we have a very clear doctrinal statement, the Baptist faith and message, and we use that and
Wait. Did you say clear statement and Baptist faith and message in the same sentence?
Yes, I think it is very clear. And so
I think it's as clear as mud, but we can do another whole episode on that.
We probably could, regardless of those who want to throw stones at the Southern Baptist or those within the Southern Baptist that want to burn it down. The 63 is a great faith statement. And,
we're talking about the 1963. That one's fine. I'm talking about the 2000.
I actually think the 2000 is fine too. So I think that it's a clear statement. And so what we ask people to do is you can't do anything that is in contradiction to our faith statement. We don't make people affirm it. I would never do that within a network of churches. I also wouldn't do it within a partnership of using our facilities. So you just cannot do things that contradict our faith statement. So a local high school having a concert here, mainly playing covers of oldies, is fine. It doesn't contradict our faith statement. So that's the way in which we align. Now, when it comes to church plants or missions organizations, we are going to make them to be even closer. When we even ask them, or we look for, and we'd rather partner with those who have the same faith statement that we do.
Yeah, we we would draw the line with like Unitarian Universalist Church. We couldn't allow them to use our facility to do something on our campus. And if it's a group that would be outside of the bounds of our non-negotiables of faith. We have 8 points of doctrine at West Braden that are non-negotiables. We have a statement on marriage as well. Have a traditional view of marriage being between one man and one woman for life. And so any group that would come in and want to promote something that is not aligning with our doctrine, we would not let them use our facility. Mm-hmm. Now, a local school is just going to come in, they just want to put on a concert. It's non-doctrinal. Mm-hmm. It's not even a thing. But if it's another nonprofit, a religious group, we would not let another religion come into our campus and, host something here. I want to have I want to be a good neighbor to as many people as I can, but we can't let either heretical issues or gospel issues come into this building and then have people doing something completely outside the bounds of who we are as a church. So I would just say, make sure that you have that doctrinal alignment. You understand where your boundaries are. For some of you, it's probably going to be more narrow. For others of you, it may be more broad. Just know where they are. Be consistent. The local school, come on in and do your choir recital. Not a problem. That's a non-doctrinal issue. The Unitarian Universalist Church that wants to talk about how nobody goes to hell and doing a whole event on, called Nobody Goes to Hell at West Braden Baptist Church. It's like, well, we can't do that. Sorry.
Sure.
Yeah. So there are limits to this is what I'm saying. You can't open the doors to everyone, particularly for things that would be outside the bounds of who you are as a church. So just know where that doctrinal alignment is, and be clear about it.
Right, which is why we employ a faith statement. So there's a statement that is written down. It was written down before you even asked me what you wanted to do at my space, and so I can say, nope, this is what we use. If you contradict that, if your organization or the purpose of this event conflicts with that, then you cannot. I am just cautioning you, if you're thinking about renting out your space, just saying believes kind of like we do is not a clear enough statement, and it's going to get you in trouble. So you need to kind of specify what it is that you believe and write that down. And then
other like-minded groups is kind of common language that you see, and I have no problem with that language. It's just not clear enough to know exactly who can and can't use your facility.
Right.
But
I don't even like that in bylaws.
Yeah.
To taxes. Let's talk about money.
Yeah. So from doctrine to money, both of them equally important, right?
Usually,
at least in practice, maybe not in theory. Yeah. So let's move from doctrine to money. If you've ever thought about like renting your space, which some churches do, you are, as a nonprofit, you are allowed to do that, but consider the tax implications, because rental income, and talk to your accountant, talk to your tax professional, but rental income is often taxable. And then this raises the whole idea of property taxes. So for me, I don't fear income tax. Hey, we're going to make money by renting out our facility to somebody, another business, somebody, we're going to make money off of this. That's fine. In most cases, you're going to have to pay taxes on that. There's some rules around that. Talk to your tax professional. But what my greatest fear is if you do this, at scale, if you do this, substantially, the question arises from local governments and county governments. What portion of your campus is now open to property taxes which often are a whole lot more significant than the income tax. So I would just say be very careful. I've never heard of a nonprofit church being challenged on this, but in my view, if it ever were to go to the courts, churches don't really have a good argument if they're doing a lot of rental income and trying to avoid paying property taxes on that particular piece of property. So just be careful there. Talk to a tax professional. Don't just go renting out your facility without knowing exactly what you're doing.
Yeah, and that's something that we crossed here as well. We talked to both our tax professionals, our auditors, and our lawyers, and the way that it reads here is at least that you have to. So if you just picture, let's say it takes $100 a year to operate the facility. You're talking about electricity, insurance, those kind of things. If you are renting in excess of $100, that portion that is over that becomes taxable. So as long as you're well within the range of what it costs to just operate the facility, all you're doing is recuperating cost of operating the facility, then you're fine as far as that. So, we figured it out. It cost about $3,000 a day just to keep this facility functioning. The property that I'm sitting in here right now. These organizations that come in different, they might spend $1,500 a day to rent out our whole campus and to use it for different purposes and stuff like that. So we're well within that market. There's no quote unquote profit that is happening from the use of our facility. We're just trying not to be. We want to be a good steward, and I think the tax code understands this. We're wanting to be a good neighbor, let the community use it, but the church shouldn't eat all the cost of the school district using the facility. Now, in our case, we make it free for the school district, but in other cases, others may not. So you definitely, as Sam has said, talk to a lawyer, talk to an accountant, talk to your
every county and city is going to be a
help.
little different, particularly with property taxes. You just need to know your local regulations there and understand what's going on.
The next thing is very, very, very important, and I can't stress this enough. It can be one page, but it needs to be written down. Now, we really like these things, so of course we had lawyers look at them, we drafted these things, but they are called MoUs or lease agreements. An MoU is a memorandum of understanding. It's just a meeting of the minds. When it comes to legal cases, there needs to show that the two people had a meeting of the minds, that somehow they understood one another, and if there is a loss, then the courts would step in to make the loser whole. At least that's, in theory, what justice is and what lawsuits are about. So you want to write these down, and as Sam kind of pointed out earlier, if it's just an organization coming into a facility to use the facility, then you may, for one event, that may just be a memorandum of understanding. And it can be very clear. It can be things like this portion of the campus is to be under use. No other portions are to be used. That the church is not held liable. There's an umbrella policy that protects the church from any sort of legal action, those kind of things. Things cannot be removed. Things cannot change, those kind of things. You just write it all down so that everybody is clear on what it is that you're understanding. Leases are going to, time and rooms and things. They're the church that meets here, they have a lease. Some of the school events that happen here, they're just memorandums of understanding. And so both of those are extremely important. And you can draft them. It takes a little bit of work. Maybe find an ex-lawyer or somebody that's very organized in your church that's retired. Have them sit down with the lawyers and draft all this. Write it all out. Have somebody approve it, like finance team or the church. And then you just have them on reserve. Then you can just fill them out. Fill in the blanks. And it's not a bad thing, but it's going to save you a ton of stress and maybe even some money down the road.
Yeah, I mean, these MOUs are very important just simply because they set expectations. Not that you're ever going to want to use them in a court of law. I mean, the whole point is that you don't. That's why you write them, so that everyone is clear on each other's responsibilities. A lease agreement is obviously one step above an MOU in terms of how legally binding it is. So if you do have somebody who's going to be on the campus on an ongoing basis and money is being exchanged in some way, shape, or form, even if it's reimbursement for expenses, that likely needs to be a lease agreement. So we have utilized MOUs here on our campus numerous times, And all that it does is just set expectations. The last thing that I'll say, and I think this is important, insurance. Make sure you talk to your insurance company. Most churches have an umbrella policy. Make sure that what you are doing is covered under that umbrella policy. Or if it's another group and they're utilizing their insurance, that is clearly stipulated in something like an MOU. So make sure you keep your insurance company in the loop if you're doing this, because if something happens and they find out that you're doing this without them knowing, they could deny a claim, and that's not something that you want.
Yeah, 2 quick tips that I've learned in dealing with this sort of stuff for a while and excessively is, first, if there's any changes, go ahead and edit, go ahead and make an amendment to the MOU or the lease, and then have both parties sign it. I know that sounds tedious, but it will happen every single time. You'll agree to these 3 rooms, then they'll want the 4th room. You'll agree to these 2 hours, and they'll want the extra hour before and after. Go ahead and have it written down and signed by the same parties, always. The other thing is, if you feel icky about like some group coming in and using the facilities, you don't want to charge them, but there is a fee, and they talked about a donation. The way that we always word that is the fee has been waived. Typically, it would be X number of dollars. We go ahead and put in there, this is how much it normally would be, but it is waived in lieu of a donation. What that does is it lets them know, hey, we're on the line for this much money. It costs us $3,000 a day to keep this up, but it's waived. The other thing is that the other organization, normally they will come back and give at least that much. They know, oh, we're going to make a donation. They gave it to us, so it's normally $3,000. We'll give them $3,500. They feel like they got a break. They did, and we get a break, and everything's covered. So that's a way to word it in a way that doesn't feel as icky.
So call a lawyer, call your insurance agent, and call
Yep.
church teams. You need to call church teams.
That's right.
You know, they've got systems for you. So if you're going to start doing this, you're going to need some systems answers, and church teams has that answer. That may be the greatest segue I've ever had in the history of this show. So there you go. Church Teams is a longtime partner of ours. We love what they do. They have integrated systems. They're easy to use. Their reporting stuff is awesome. Whether it be giving modules or texting or database help, Church Teams is your comprehensive solution for anything and everything systems. So give them a call, and you can. The way that you can do that is you can go to go.churchteams.com. Go.churchteams.com. Their pricing is scalable. They're for small churches. They're for large churches. Their whole system is scalable. So if you're like, hey, we're a church of 50 people, we really could use some help in this area. If you're the pastor, I need something taken off my plate. I'm having to do with a lot of this myself. Hey, they've got a price point that's right for you. So go.churchteams.com.
That's right. Thanks so much for listening. We hope that this show helps you, but make sure that you are sharing the show so we can continue to grow it. Sam, have we told our listeners yet, or have you, where we're ranking, or how the impact of the show?
Yeah, number 9 in the world in terms of leadership podcasts, not Christian leadership podcasts. We're number 3 with just Christian leadership. Number 9 in all, like we're right behind Harvard. So we're coming.
Wow.
We're coming for you, Harvard. And Dave Ramsey's a few spots in front of us, so Dave, watch out. We're gonna knock you
Watch
off
out,
your
Dave. Yep. Thanks
He's
for listening.
He's more on conventional radio and not podcasting.
Sure.
So that's part of the way the ranking is done. But yeah, number 9 in the world. So everyone, let me brag on myself. Let me brag on Josh. You're listening to the number 9 best leadership podcast in the world.
I think I might start the next show that way. All right. Thanks for listening. Share the show. We'll catch you next week.